Hello there. I thought I'd quickly show how to make a multiplication game. This multiplication game is going to be pretty straightforward to make. So to start out, I'm going to make it when the sprites collect, just to have that be the way that the game starts. And then to start, what we're going to do is we're going to make a variable, and we're going to call this variable random number. Once you've made it, click OK. So you have a random number, and so now you're going to say when the sprites click, you're going to set random number to 0. Well, that doesn't make any sense. What you got to do is you got to set random number to a random number. So this is going to be a random number picker, and your range is between 1 and 10. So this is going to be for our, and I'll explain how this works in a bit, but I'm just going to drop that in there. So now our random number will be set to, and I'll show you how that works. So now I click on it, and our random number was 9, or 10, or 7, so you can see how that's a really simple random number maker. So that picks random numbers for us. This is going to guarantee that the person doing the questions doesn't know exactly what's being asked. The next thing we're going to do is we're now going to ask a question. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question, and I'm going to use some joins to do this. So I'm going to join. I'm going to say what is, and we'll do our 8 multiplication facts or tables. What is 8 multiplied by, so what is 8 multiplied by, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now bring in the random number. So what is 8 multiplied by, so in this case it would be what is 8 multiplied by 6, and then just to have a good sentence, I'm going to join this so I can add a question mark. So what is 8 multiplied by question mark? So I put that in there. So now what happens is when the sprites clicked, what is 8 multiplied by 10? Where did 10 come from? It's our random number that we made. So now that we know that that's working, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to hide the random number just so that way, you know, it's not seen. So now we can see that all works perfect. Next thing we're going to do is now we're going to check. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an equals operator. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at and see if the answer the person gives is equal to, we're going to use some multiplication because that's what we're doing. We said multiplied, and we said what is 8 multiplied by the random number. So there we go, we built that. So if answer equals, if the answer they give equals 8 times random number, so we're going to have to use this as an if then. I'm going to use an else so that way we can give them a wrong answer. So if their answer equals 8 times the random number, then we could do something like, let's see here, say correct. C-O-R-E-C-T. So let's test that out. We'll get this one right. What is 8 multiplied by 1? 8. Correct. Okay, so we know that that's working, but what happens if I get it wrong? What is 8 multiplied by 9? So I'm going to get this one wrong. And nothing happens. So I've got to just tell what to do when you get it wrong. So say something like, sorry, click on me again to try another one. A little bit longer message, so make that 3. And then here we go. What is 8 multiplied by 9? 72. Yes. What is 8 multiplied by 10? 2. Perfect, so that's working. Finally, let's add in a little bit of a checker to check what our, we'll make another variable called questions right. And then I go, there we go, good. Slide that up a little bit, questions right, perfect. And then every time they get a question right, we're going to want to change questions right by 1. So here's where they get something right, and here's what happens if they get something wrong. So that makes sense. Now let's try it out. Was 8 multiplied by 8? 64. Correct. And my questions right went up by 1. Let's get one wrong to make sure it doesn't go up in that case. Was 8 multiplied by 1? 4. Perfect. And it works exactly like I'd wanted. So I hope that helps explain how to make an easy multiplication game. If you want to change up, maybe you want to do your multiplication facts to 12. You could change that number right there to 12, and now you're doing your multiplication range from 1 to 12. If you want to change what you're multiplying to, maybe you want to do your 3 times table, you change that number to 3. Change that number to 3. And you're good to go. And now you're doing your 3 multiplication tables or facts. I hope that helps out explain how to make an easy multiplication game. Once you're done, you can add in a fun backdrop, and you could probably even add in more features than I've done. And if you really want to make it crazy, you could make that number right here a second random number. And if that's not clear, you can send me a message and say, Mr. Smith, could you please explain that? There you go, a multiplication game in Scratch.